why are all the older comics why are we the bitter ones? The younger ones ain't like that. It's so odd to me. Like, it's so weird. I was thinking about all the younger comics that are out there, right? Jess Hilarious, DC Youngfly, Desi Banks, Ryan Davis, B. Simone. They're like they're the 15, 20 years behind my group. My group is Donnell, Dion Cole, D-Ray, Michael Blackson, Kat, Kevin. That's my group. That's all the late 90s, early 2000s group that came to LA or you start hearing about them. That's my, fraternity. Whereas these next groups came in like 15, 20 years later. And I tell you, all the people I just named, I can remember the day I met them and how we met and just how they were so like eyes wide open, appreciative just to talk to you and soaking in the knowledge and to see all these young comics just taking off and flourishing in their own direction. Even the Hudson brothers. I mean, the Hudson brothers aren't doing as much stand-up, but I remember meeting Emmanuel, and then I shot a Ride Along. In 2012, we shot that. And then he came up and was like, yeah, I do sketches with my brother. And we started talking. And then go to YouTube, man. I shot 2 sketches with him that week. We shot that while I was shooting Ride Along. They had a little place. They had camera. And they were like ahead of the game, the Hudson brothers. And I'm so glad I did that because now my kids, I got something I can see them in 2012. So my son was 12 and my daughter was 10 when we shot that. And it's just cool because I can go back and look at them and their kids and little. And then we shot a Thanksgiving sketch with them. And, it was just cool just to collab. And that's what these young guys are doing, man. They get it. They know we can collab together and we can make all this money together. And we're stronger as a unit instead of shitting on each other. Let's help each other out. I love that about this younger group. 85 South, Chico Bean, Carlos Miller, DC. I love that they all can do their own tour. Because, listen, there's enough for everybody. Like I said, there's no reason to shit on somebody because you think you're funnier than them. We all think we're the funniest. Stop. We all think that. I remember the first time I met DC Youngfly, Dayton, Ohio Airport. I never met that dude. He was with Lil Duval that night. Lil Duval is part of my generation, part of my fraternity. I was getting on a flight, and he was landing. And I walked by, and we made eye contact. And he was like, I just remember he goes, what's up, man? And his security guy was with him. And he was like, man, I fucks with you, man. I fucks with you. And I was like, all right, man. And I don't think he knew if I knew who he was. This was probably 9 years ago. So DC was bubbling, but he's not where he's at now. And then I just remember I did a post right afterwards. I go, I just met DC Youngfly at the airport. Fuck you mean. Because remember, DC kind of blew from those videos where he had somebody that was dressed goofy, and then he would comment on it, or they did a video. He would say, man, bring your ass here, boy. And he put the camera right here on his face. And then he just took off from that. And then Will Packer put him in that Christmas movie and woo, took off from there. But every time you see DC, bro, he's so appreciative. You got to be backstage and really look at these young guys and how they just soak up the knowledge. DC don't come in shitting on people. He don't come in trying to overtake a conversation, or he just listen. You could tell, man. I've seen him in 50 times in rooms with other comics, and that dude just soaks it all in. He's taking all that info, and he's just a sponge, man. And that's why where he's at. He ain't nobody's opener. First time I met Jess Hilarious, Tamara Goins, who's an agent now. She goes, yo, I'm repping this young girl, and she said she's a huge fan of yours. I said, really? She goes, her name's Jess Hilarious. Look her up. So that's when I looked her up, and I wasn't familiar with her. That was, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And I said, oh, yeah. And then she FaceTime and put her on the phone. And I remember as soon as my face got on the phone, Jess went, no way, no way. And then been cool ever since. Oh, in fact, I went and saw her that night. Like, I went and saw her. She was doing a show at the Comedy Union, and she brought me on stage. I said, let's do a joke and say I'm Tommy. That was before. That was like season 1 or 2 of Power. That's before everybody got wind. And that's the first time I met Jess. And we just chopped it up and talked. Again, appreciative. Never shit on me since we've met. There's no reason to. And that's why she's at where she's at right now. Shoot, Ryan Davis, another young dude. First time I met him, I think he reached out on social media. And then I saw him somewhere, one of the comedy clubs. But then I was doing a spot. Chris Spencer's got a spot in L.A., maybe the Savoy, I think it's called. And I was going to do a show one night. And I looked up, and Ryan was in the audience. I said, what you doing here, man? He said, I heard you was here, man. He said, I'm just coming to learn. And I was like, whoa. I was like, man. He just said, I'm just coming to learn, man. I'm coming to watch one of the best. And I was like, wow. Just to be called that. B. Simone, same way. First time I met her was on Will Packer had a show. Was it on BET? It was some show that didn't go anywhere, but me and her was on there. We were like the panel on there, and that's the first time I met her. We talked, exchanged info, and then I've seen her every time I've seen her since. Like, it's always been warm. We had a show together in Houston last year, and she came to my dressing room. We got a picture, talked for a minute, but it's just it's so much love. Desi Banks, oh my God, I feel like I'm really just hyping up the younger generation, but they deserve it. Give people their flowers while they're here. First time I met Desi Banks, came to the show in Atlanta, and my road manager, Brad, was like, yo, there's this young guy out of Atlanta. He used to work at Smoothie King, and he would tell me he's doing sketches and stuff. He wants to be a stand-up. He goes, and now he's taking off, and Brad was showing me some of his sketches on his phone. So then I was at Atlanta Comedy Theater. Desi came to the show, and then this is when you know you're getting old. He goes, you're my mama's favorite. I was like, dang, dude, thanks for making me feel old. And I kid you not, every time I come to Atlanta, if Desi's in town, him and his boys, they come and we hang out in the green room and chop it up and everything else. And we've shot a couple sketches together since then. And it's just like, it's just love, man. There's none of this like, how dare they compare? There's none of this. It's not like Desi Banks gets on a show and goes, how dare they compare me to Ryan Davis and Jess Hilarious? I'll shit on them. But it was just so unsolicited. That's the thing, like with Donnell and then the young guys. I'm like, why do the young guys are so happy and are so appreciative of everything they have, and they generally root for other people? By the way, I do want to get on 85 South show. I want to go to the hood. When you going to have me on the couch, fellas? I'm putting it out there. So I just don't know. It's not necessary. We all think we're the funniest, bro. It's just not necessary.